Hello and thank you for joining us for another tutorial. In today's demonstration we've taken inspiration from a wire mesh technique shared by Joseph Massey, a botanical floral artist. Now, the design uses a nest wire structure entwined with salix saline to act as a base to weave your flowers through. Now this not only works as a mechanic but creates an aesthetically pleasing dynamic within the overall composition. The structure used is similar to that of a holly chapel egg. So for this composition I'm going to use the following tools and plant materials. So first, my tools, just my scissors, some twine and 12mm anchor tape, and then my plant materials, beautiful colour palette of pinks, greens and whites. We've got symphoricarpos, we've got white Colombian hydrangea, pink Astilbe, tree fern, which brings a lovely fluffy dimension to the construction, pink Lisianthus, beautiful garden styled rose, and some panic fountain. Now I've used the panic fountain on this occasion because it has that beautiful drape that works really well over the edge of the nest. Now, when you start the construction, I would suggest that you use stems to cascade over the edge as well as in the centre, just so it makes the nest look an integral part of the design. You don't want the flowers to stand above it and then look like that's a separate entity. So I'm going to start by placing my hydrangea in the centre, and I'm going to put that in a low position. Now I've threaded, if I turn the stems round, you can see I've threaded the stem through the frame that we've created, and hold on to that with the false stem that we've made for the frame. Next I'm going to add my foliage. I'm using tree fern here. Now I'm placing that in at an angle, just like you would with any regular hand-tied design you're creating. But I'm still going to stick to that spiral stem technique. So threading in through the framework. Now the frame is a really good supportive element in the design. When you create a hand-tied bouquet, usually you use your foliage as your frame and then place the stems around that. Using this style of nest, if you like, you don't need to worry about creating the foliage frame. It's already done for you. Now I'm just going to thread delicately through the centre of that hydrangea with my last piece of foliage. Let's put that in a bit further. So if I hold the stems, you can see we're still keeping that nice spiral form, and we're still keeping the binding point nice and tidy. We don't really want it to travel too much. Now next, for my architecture, I'm going to add the symphoricarpos. Again, I've got to thread right through the centre of that hydrangea and gently manipulate it through the frame until you've got it in the position you want it to be. Okay. Next I'm going to bring in some Lisianthus. to gently manipulate the florets of hydrangea so you can place the stems down in between it. Don't want to damage it. You can see what I mean about how well that panic fountain cascades over the edge. I'm going to group that into, often when you group a plant material, you see it more effectively than if you dot them all the way around the composition. And I'm going to bring in my first rose. Now we have beautiful Astilbe, which adds texture to the design and complements the tree fern really well. And the white and pale pink palette against the dark Salix Salem brings a lovely contrast. And another rose. The frame also gives you the opportunity to place plant materials in at quite a nice strong angle. When you're doing a hand tied, it's not always quite so easy. Gradually building the design up. I actually want a more focal rose in the centre, so I'm going to bring that rose to join the symphoricarpos. Now, you want to make sure that all the stems reach water when you finish, so make sure you pull them down through the frame so they're going to achieve hydration. And then my final rose. So build up the design and step away from it and just check that you're happy that it's aesthetically pleasing. And you've got good balance throughout. I'm going to bring that rose up a bit further. That's the lovely thing about using a frame like this, is you can make adjustments if you need to. So then just take your twine, wind around the tying point, I'm just going to lay the bouquet down whilst I tie it off. Then it's ready to cover with anchor tape for additional security. And then if you wish to, you can finish the stems with something more decorative. But on this occasion, I'm literally just going to place it into my vase. So just cutting the stems. Now you could use dried flowers or faux flowers within this composition for longevity. And it would work really well in a corporate or hospitality setting. And there you have it. Thank you so much for watching this demonstration. I hope it's given you both inspiration and practical tips for creating your own bouquet using a wire nest structure. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to share, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more floral advice, inspiration and flower tips. Any questions you have, pop in the comments box below. See you next time for another floral tutorial, and until then, take care and happy flowering.